Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Smart Start Recreational Therapy Insights YouTube series by Smart CU's Hub. I'm your host, Nathan Lamaster, and folks, we are on episode number 38 today, and we have a great topic for you. So today we're going to be talking about something that affects a lot of recreational therapy business owners. Could be that you work in a hospital, nursing home, outpatient clinic, community-based program, you name it. And that is documentation for insurance and reimbursement. So if your program bills insurance at all or has an insurance component, so you work at a hospital and Medicare, Medicaid could be something that is done there, or even private insurance some places, you're going to need to know what kind of documentation is needed for you to get paid. So guys, I am excited to be doing this episode with you today. And without further ado, let's dive on in. So why does this matter in recreational therapy? Okay, so let's get real. Okay, reimbursement helps fund programs. So if you work in a hospital, you work in an outpatient clinic, you work in a nursing home, you have your own business as a recreational therapist, you need that funding. And a lot of times people are going to pay out of pocket. They're going to be using insurance. Okay. It helps justify the positions. So if a hospital or organization looks to hire a recreational therapist, it's typically because either there's a requirement, a federal requirement that they have that, right? It's that maybe they can bill for things and then they can get paid more than they pay you. So, for instance, if a business is going to hire a recreational therapist, they're not going to do it at a loss. They're not going to be doing it where they don't make money. So, the funding that they receive for having you is going to be generally more than it costs them to have you. Okay, so, and then it also helps grow the field because that creates more job opportunities. Okay, without proper documentation, though, you risk denied claims. You can't show the medical necessity of your service. You might fail to meet standards for CMS, Medicaid, or private insurers. Even if you're not currently billing insurance, okay, that might not be part of your position where you're actually doing that because there might be a whole department doing that. Okay, understanding the system puts you ahead professionally. All right, some common requirements for RT billing. When it comes to insurance reimbursement, your documentation must, clearly state the diagnosis for the reason for the referral. Okay, outline the skilled therapeutic services you are providing. Show measurable goals and client-centered outcomes. Include frequency, duration, and progress. And demonstrate how the service differs from leisure or general activity. So if your activities that you're providing or interventions or whatever you're doing just appears like you're just doing things to fill time, insurance generally will not cover this. So you actually have to have goals. And that's so important that as a recreational therapist, that you are working on goals with clients and that your groups and your activities actually have evidence to show that they're actually doing those things. All right, terminology that helps you get paid. Okay, use strong clinical language in your documentation. Instead of had fun during a music group or engaged in structured therapeutic group to enhance emotional expression and social interaction, use phrases like skilled intervention, treatment session, and goal-directed activity. Be sure to reference treatment plans and goals directly in your progress notes so that they're all linked together. Use abbreviations carefully and follow your organization's formatting principles. All right, now we're going to talk about CPT codes and reimbursement pathways. So this is the technical part. These are the actual codes that you're going to bill under a lot of the time, okay? So here's a few codes that RTs work under. One is 97110, and that has to do with therapeutic exercise. So if that's the type of group you're doing, that's the code you'll use. 97530, therapeutic activity. 97112, neuromuscular re-education. G0176, activity therapy for mental health. All right, these are depending on the state or the facility that you work at. So please double check these with your current state, and let's say it's under a Medicaid waiver, please look under that, okay? And check for the RT guidelines that are going to be held at those places. But these are examples of codes and what the name of the code is, and you'll find similar ones in your state, okay? Most likely. And you'll also be billing under general therapeutic services through a broader department like rehab or behavioral health typically. All right, we're going to do a case documentation example for you. So let's say you're working with a client who's recovering from a stroke. Your session might be documented like this. Okay. Client participated in a 45-minute individual RT session focused on fine motor coordination and cognitive sequencing through adaptive card sorting activity. Intervention aligns with goal to improve executive functioning and right hand dexterity. Moderate assistance required. Client tolerated session well. Plan to increase task complexity next session. So this is an example of how a note should be written that addresses the progress, addresses what they came in for, what you're working on, and how you're going to change it for the next session, and what the result of you doing that was. Okay, this language supports the medical necessity of what you're doing. Now we're on to the wrap-up and takeaways today. Guys, you don't have to love paperwork. A lot of us don't. I don't, okay? But mastering documentation for reimbursement gives you power. It ensures your services are valued and your clients continue to get the support that they need because the hospital or the facility, etc., can afford to have you, and you're showing the medical necessity of your services. Okay, key takeaways. Use clinical goal-driven language in your documentation, always. Tie interventions to treatment plans. Know the codes and requirements in your state. Always advocate for recreational therapy as a skilled, billable service. That is a must. Next week, we shift from paperwork to potential with an episode all about the emerging trends and innovations in recreational therapy. Think AI, virtual reality, and how tech is reshaping the world that we live in. You won't want to miss it. Guys, have a great Monday, and I hope the rest of your week is also great. And as always, recreational therapists, stay classy.